Everybody, welcome back to another fun and exciting Algebra 1 class. Today what we're going to do is kind of just continue on with lesson 7.5. I'm going to show you a couple things, couple tricks. It's going to be kind of a shorter lesson, and it's kind of like, we'll call it 7.5b, or to be continued. This one's not to be continued. This is the continuation of the other one. All right, so what were we doing in 7.5? That's important for us to remember. We were factoring. What were we factoring? We were factoring specifically polynomials, quadratic polynomials, with a leading coefficient of 1. If you look down here on the screen, this one has a leading coefficient of 1. When it has a leading coefficient of 1, we typically don't write it. It doesn't need to be there. So what we want to do is we want to factor this or unfoil it. Okay, so how are we going to do that? Well, what I told you in the last lesson was that you want to take this y squared and you want to write it twice. And then we want to take and we want to write our parentheses. Then I said you want to take this right here, this 40. Now, there's a trick right here because look at these signs. These signs are negative, negative. What's going on right here? Well, this is what I want to show you in today's lesson. Look down here. I have what's called, nobody else calls it this because I made it up, I think. I've never seen anybody else with it. It's the sign matrix. All right, what does the sign matrix mean? Well, the matrix is just like a listing or a pattern of what's going on. So how do we figure out the signs? Well, if in the question you have a plus plus, then it's going to yield an answer that is also plus plus. Okay? In your question, in this case, our question is negative, negative. Okay, let's go back up to it. Y squared minus 18. See, there's our negative, and there's our negative. Okay, so it's negative, negative. So what's this going to yield to us? What's this going to give us? Well, it gives us this. Negative, positive. And notice I wrote down here that the negative is bigger. This negative is going to be bigger. What do I mean by that? Well, let's take a look at it. Let's just factor this out, and let's find out. So I said that it's going to be negative, positive, right? And I said this negative is going to be bigger. What does that mean? Well, let's take the factors of 40 and let's figure this thing out. So if I take, now notice my signs are different. Whenever my signs are different, I'm going to be subtracting the factors, or I'm going to have one positive and one negative. So I have 1 times 40, that's a factor of 40. Is that going to give us 18? When we add or subtract this, will it give us 18? No, never. 2 times 20. I like 2 times 20 because what happens when we subtract right here? Because remember, these signs are one of each, so we're going to be subtracting. 20 minus 2 is 18. So here we have found our factors. We don't have to go any further. Right there, that's our factors because it gives us our middle term. What did I say about the bigger one being negative? Look, the bigger one, 20 is the bigger number. 20 is bigger than 2. So 20 is going to go with the negative sign, and 2 is going to go with the positive sign. Okay, so let's look back at our sign matrix because we had negative, negative. We had to choose from this side over here, and it was negative, positive, and the negative one is bigger. Is it bigger? Well, let's try it out just to verify it. How are we going to do that? We're going to FOIL. Let's make sure. So we're going to do first, and we're going to get y squared. Outers plus 2y, inners minus 20y, and then our last, we're going to get our negative 40. So again, this is what we're going for. This is what we want this to look like when we're done foiling. So now we combine our middle terms and we get y squared minus 18y minus 40. So our sign matrix told us that this was going to be a negative and a positive. And it also told us that this negative was going to be bigger. So that helps us out a lot. That helps us. We don't have to mess with a lot of the trying to figure it out and guessing with the signs. The book shows you, like if you look at page 245, the book shows you where you kind of guess with the signs. And I don't like that. I like the sign matrix because it tells you exactly what to use. Now, this only works when the leading coefficient is 1. If the leading coefficient is anything other than 1, then we're going to have to do some other things. But and we'll get into that in the next lesson. All right, let's try another one. Let's try this one. X squared plus 15x plus 44. Let's see what we get when we do this one. All right. So what I told you was let's go ahead and write down our x and our x. We're going to put our parentheses on here. And now we can look at our signs. Let's try to figure out our signs. So we have a negative, positive. Negative, positive. Come down to the sign matrix. Let me erase this stuff. Negative, positive. All right, where's the negative, positive? All right, there it is. Negative, positive. What is that going to yield to us? That's going to yield a negative, negative. Okay, it's going to yield a negative, negative. So that's going to be our sign here, negative, negative. Okay. And you might not believe me because you might say, but that, Mr. Steve, that's a positive. How do we get a negative, negative? Just trust me, okay? I know what I'm doing. I've done this before. So we'll look at it in just a second. We'll see how we knew that it was going to be a negative, negative. So now what do? Now we come to 44 and we factor 44. 1 times 44. Well, that's either going to give us 45 or actually we're adding this time because the signs are the same, right? When the signs are the same, we add. So that's going to give us 45. That's not going to work. How about 2? 2 times, what is that, 22? Yep. When we add those, it gives us 24. We're still looking for negative 15 there. And these are technically both negative. Because look, when we multiply negative times negative, it gives us a positive. That's where the positive comes from, is when we multiply negative times negative. Does 3 go into that? I don't think so. Does 4 go into that? Yes, it does. 4 goes into that 11 times. Look what I just got there. 4 plus 11 equals 15. Negative 4 plus negative 11 equals negative 15. That's what we were going for, is negative 15. So if we have a negative 4 and a negative 11, that's going to give us our negative 15. All right, let's verify that. Let me erase this so you can see what's going on. Let's verify it by foiling. That's going to give us x squared. The outer is going to give us negative 11x. The inner is going to give us negative 4x. And then the last is going to give us our positive 44. How positive 44? Negative times negative gives us positive. Okay? And then what we would do is we would just combine these middle terms and we would get x squared minus 15x plus 44. And there we are back to where we started. Okay? So I'm going to put this sign matrix here. You can go ahead and use that. I will also link that in the comments there in the description section so that you can see that. You can download it if you want it there from my Google Drive. Okay? All right, everybody, that's all I have for you in this lesson. I told you it was going to be short, under 10 minutes. Congratulations. All right, we'll see you later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.